So today, the reason I decided to do this is because so often we say all this like, oh, it's a full moon, it's a full moon, it's a full moon. And then on the new moon, it's like, it's a new moon. And I wanted to kind of highlight what we actually do on a new moon and make sure that we're all getting the whole benefit of all the energy it has. So first, let me talk about the new moon. I'm going to bring this up here. Oh, let me share my screen. That would help. Um, 1 second. Here we go. Good thing it is taking me a hot second here. Okay. There we go. Okay, so with this new moon, as you can see, it's right here, and we've got this Virgo moon. It's sitting in our seventh house. I talked a little bit about this in a quick 1 minute post, and it's all about organizing things, partners and relationships, and taking care of stuff. Like maybe it's like tidying things up. Maybe it's starting new habits and routines. And that's again why we are having today. And you can see it's closely related here with your sun. And it's also projecting over here into our first house, which is about our identity. And the reason that that is important is to understand is because over here, this is very much working with this energy of Saturn and Pisces. And so we have like this higher purpose type energy and this intuition, mystic, metaphysical type energy that's coming through in Saturn of this patterns and the consistency of that, right? And it being a part of our identity. So it's really important to understand how this moon is working when it's got this Virgo energy and how that's working as well of starting these new habits and routines. And I also want to point out that this is kind of like Virgo can tend to be a critical energy, meaning that when, let's see, let me stop sharing. My goodness. Oh, hi, Stephanie. I'm trying to figure out how to stop sharing. I think I just do this. Yeah. Okay. So I think when we're looking at this Virgo energy, it can tend to be very critical of ourselves, right? So you could find yourself in a situation where you are judging yourself really hard. And so a good way to get over that right now is to take initiative and work with that Saturn energy of like getting things done. Saturn is going to project some energy of the work you've already put in. So all this like life experiences, transitions, the things you've been working on, all of that is going to come out right now in this Saturn experience. Excuse me. That is apparently a lot of water. So when we're looking at that, you want to make sure that what has happened is now brought forward, and what you're in now is going to be a new experience that's harnessing and helping that, right? So that's why I wanted to do the neurohacking. This is something that is very beneficial. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that. And then I'm going to also give you an exercise to do on the new moon, which is tonight. And you have the energy, you've had it for a few days. So maybe you were already organizing and tidying things up. Maybe you're already reflecting on getting some particular things done. It's about like wrapping things up so you can start the new. And then it lasts for 5 more days where you have this really great opportunity to initiate new habits, new routines, new patterns. What that is, it's actually up to you. And that's part of the neurohacking. We need to identify what it is, one thing, right? Maybe it's getting more sunshine. Maybe it's exercising. Maybe it's your diet. Maybe it's reading your pile of books for school. Maybe, it's all these different things. Maybe you're going to tear apart your wardrobe and reorganize it, right? We want to be able to have that freedom to do those things. And then what does that look like? And when we talk about neurohacking, it's very much about how the brain works. So I'm going to share a little bit about that too here. Let me pull, this is apparently, it takes me a whole time to share my screen. So let me get it ready. And we will see how this goes. Okay. Let's try this one and see what happens. Let's see. I think this is not it. Let's see what happens here. Oh, it was sharing that whole time. I'm so sorry. See what I know? Okay. There we go. Okay. So when we're looking at the neuro, we have our muscle memory, right? And that is when we repetitively do a motion. Like I talk with my hands a lot, right? We repetitively do this motion and it becomes a passive memory. I don't think about it, I just do it, right? Same with walking, breathing, all these muscle memory things, they're in our body, right? And all of the muscles have these neurons and cells and all these pieces to them that create that memory. And that's how we can perform our normal tasks throughout the day. But we can also create new muscle memories. Well, when we look at our bio memory, it lives in the top of our stomach right around here. And the bio memory is based on emotions and foods that we put into our body, right? And how that resonates inside of our body. And so when we have these habits and patterns, either from physically moving of muscle memory or of our bio memory of that emotional piece, those pieces are what create our thoughts, our decisions, and our perceptions, and our motivation, right? Of why we would respond the way we do to things. And the neurohacking part here, this is about how our brain responds to it and how it programs into our brain. So when we go and look at this, it is because when we create, there's really just 3 steps, right? Just to create this new pattern for ourselves for reaching our goals. I'm sharing all this with you because it'll make more sense when we get to the worksheet. So, and that hence why I also shared what was going on with the new moon. So when we're looking at this, you have to create the steps to be able to achieve what you're trying to do, right? And you break it down into small steps. Today, for this exercise, we're going to pick one thing because we have a new moon every month, right? And so, because we have a new moon that circulates on, it's a odd number compared to our calendar, so it's roughly every month. When we're looking at this, we want to take these little steps. Like you might have this big goal. Your big goal might be like overall health or wellness, right? But in order to achieve that, we have to break it down and like, what does that mean for you, right? Is it clean air, drinking water, what you're eating, doing a particular exercise? Maybe it's the time of day you get up. There's all these different things about wellness that could be attached to that. And so you break it down into these smaller goals, which I'll go into, but it's creating these steps that are obtainable and doable. And then these two, it's very funny, the measuring the progress and rewarding our behavior. You know, I'm going to tell you, the funny thing about measuring the progress and rewarding our behavior is those are pieces that I was like, usually discarded, right? Like, oh, I'll know I'll be successful because I finished it. Or I don't need a reward. I'm just doing better. The reality is you actually need these things. And the reason you need these things is because when you have the motivation and you personalize it, you experiment with it, and you're realistic about it, you can measure it and you can find a reward. And it is all about dopamine. So life often gets in our way when we are setting up our goals and our intentions. And when we're looking at that, you could be seeing it from like experiencing a fear, an emotional fear, right? Or maybe your kid got sick, right? There's all these different things that could hold you back from reaching that step that day. And you need to figure it out, right? These things happen. How are you going to overcome them when they happen? And that's why the measuring is important, because you need to be able to track that you are continuing to make progress. So you have those little tiny baby steps, which drops the dopamine, right? And then you'll have a reward. But you have to take responsibility for yourself. And this is a thing that happens a lot. I see with a lot of people. They'll say, oh, this happened, I couldn't do it. Oh, this happened, I couldn't do it. Listen, there's all kinds of reasons why we can't do things. There's usually less reason why we can do them because it's not a pattern. It's not in our bio memory. Maybe the goal is something you don't want enough, right? I've done that before. I've made a goal and then found out I really just didn't want it enough. And because I kept not being able to have any progress to measure, or was really erratic, right? And I was like, what is the deal? And it's like, you know what? Turns out it just doesn't mean that much to me. But when it does mean something to you, you are the one that is responsible for taking care of it and making sure that it happens. No one else is going to do that for you. And it's your responsibility to achieve your goals, to become the best being you can be. Okay. So keep that in mind. That's actually my core primary motivator, is just pushing the limits all the time of, being the best I can be. May that be through showing up here. May that be through my schoolwork. May that be through my appointments I'm having or classes I'm teaching, right? I always am trying to learn more and level up and push myself to do more. Hence all the books I've just recently written, right? So when you're doing this, it's very easy to stay ahead of all of the things. And when these things pop up, you find other ways to get around them. So, maybe yours is the laundry piling up, and you don't want the laundry piling up. You want to be putting it away. Why? Why does that matter to you? Really think about what the desire is you have and make it important and a priority in your life for you. So when we get to the dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is in our brain, and it is associated with the anticipation or a craving of pleasure. That's why people can spend so much time on social media. It's instant pleasure. It's this anticipation of the swiping, right? And then being like, ooh, ooh. And you're getting all these dopamine dumps from all this positivity, hopefully, depending on what you're watching. But you should be getting it on all these positivity things and having that dump into you. And so as humans, we are always seeking an experience to increase our dopamine. And so as our dopamine increases from an experience, that reward, we want to do it more. And then it's easier to make it a pattern. This is also how people end up with addictions and other things like that, because there's a dopamine, right? But because of this swiping and because of this desire for the dopamine, we've been dubbed the dopamine nation. I'm like, well, it makes sense, actually. Sorry. And so we're always driven by this anticipation of pleasure. And this is, again, why we get sucked into that social media experience, why we get sucked into these addictions that we have. And we want to continue them because of that anticipation. So when we create our reward system, we have to make it something realistic, but something that is actually rewarding, right? Maybe it's stopping and buying a cup of tea instead of making your own tea. For me, I have my projects lined up for things that I really like working on. And if I get all my things done that I have on my list, then I get to go work on making jewelry and go solder and stuff, or go paint something. I get to go do something creative, right? That's like art creative, not thinking creative, which is what I mainly do. So when we're going through all of this, it's not looking for anything perfect, right? It's just the evolution of the experience. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go into the chart a little bit, but there we go. I'm going to give you these instructions. And this is because I'm going to drop a link here in the chat. And when I drop the link in here, you'll be able to grab the file and make a copy. And also, please keep in mind, and I'll go over this, but if you don't make a copy, you're going to override the master and everyone's going to see what you're putting in. But before we get to that, which I'll walk you through how to do that, I first want to show you what we're going to do for our neurohacking map. So here, I mean, probably not, because, oops, I gotta find this. There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do, oh my gosh, Stephanie, I just saw your comment, you're doing laundry, that's so funny. What we're going to do is I'm gonna pull up the actual file because I want you to see how it works and how you can interact with it. So I'm gonna, this whole share screen thing on this new platform is interesting. So I'm sorry for my challenges with it. Let's see. I think it will go to this one. Oh, this looks so much better. I don't know how it was sharing before. Anyways, so here with the neurohacking, this is the actual file. And then you're going to use the next one down, right? But I want to do this one as an example. And so these are all places you can enter. And before we walk through all this, first we're going to go up to File. And, oh, and let me drop the file in the comments. Okay, I shared the file. Thank you, Paula. I saw your comment. I'm going to make a copy for sure. Yeah, thank you. Paula has a long-standing habit of not making a copy. Anyway, so we're going to go into File. We're going to go into Make a Copy. And then we're going to see it duplicate. And it'll say Copy right here. And then it'll also say Copy of my my new Moon Nerohack, right? And that's how you make a copy of this file. The software is free, so don't worry about that. And then you can save the copy. And this will, once you make the copy, this saves on your account. So you don't have to worry about losing it, which is really handy if you're like me and you want to reuse this neurohacking map all the time. So let's go back to this example. So for example, let's say I want to drink more water. I put that in there. And this is my overall desire. I want to drink more water. Well, what are the steps I'm going to take to drink more water? Oh, hey, Angel. Yes, I finally see you live too. Okay, so the steps to drink more water. Maybe I need a special bottle, right? Special water bottle. All right, so I would fill it. Sorry, I should have fill special water bottle. And then maybe another thing I can do is I happen to be a very particular person about my water. And so I didn't used to drink water. And so I ended up like actually doing this myself and to be able to drink all the water I drink. So that's why I thought, oh, this is a good example. And so let's see, install preferred water filter system. And then maybe another action I take is have multiple bottles of water filled and all over the house. That's a true thing. Okay, so what is the order of these? That's what this hashtag is here. So step for me. So I'm going to turn this to a 1, fill the special water bottle, right? I have like a bunch of these and I genuinely do this. And when I say special water bottle, I'm like really particular about my water bottles. I'm particular about the texture on them, about the volume it can hold, and the capacity of how much my hand wraps around it. I know I'm a whole time. I also was particular about the material it was made out of. Like the list goes on. And you can see, like, they're all dented up. This one, I no joke, had to like bash the bottom in yesterday because I've dropped it so many times that it was bulging and wouldn't stand up. So, Angela, oh, okay. Yes, I know the time difference is a challenge, but I am glad you're here. Hi, I miss you. So anyway, so the bottle makes a big thing for this action step. Now, my second thing though, after the bottles, is I was particular about the taste of the water, and like very particular about it. I don't like most water. I don't like the taste of it. I only like natural spring water, and that's actually what I live on. And so that is my second one because that's a pretty big deal for me. I will not drink water without that. Now, the third thing for my action is to fill these bottles and lay them all over the house, which is literally what I do. You guys see me. I usually have 2 or 3 of them sitting here with me. And at the same, you're right. I am particular about most things. So now I've got my desire. I have my action steps. And you see how these are broken down so small? Like my awareness was very involved in what is preventing me from doing this, right? And then by going in and creating this very simple thing for most people that was very difficult for me, I wanted that to be a pattern, right? For me, the question was, how do I drink 64 ounces of water a day? And that's when I started doing this, right? Like, okay, what are all these pieces? So you taking the time to figure out that desire for yourself and then being able to break it down into 3 action steps you can take, then you actually will get it done because it's not overwhelming. You have full control over it. I can relate with all that water bottle stuff. Yeah, right? Steph, that's so true. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into a cue or prompt. Now, a cue or prompt is what is going to trigger this? What is going to remind you to do it, right? What is is it a reminder in your phone? Is it a particular time of day where you have an alert on a calendar? Is it a particular event, right? Like when the sun is rising or when you're getting ready for bed? What is the trigger that is going to create the cue to do this? So mine is end of day routine. So before I go to bed, I fill water bottles and place around the house. You can also adjust these, just so you know, when you get yours downloaded if you haven't already. And I actually do this every night. I fill all my water bottles. There's another reason for it too. I mean, the reality is I do it so that it is a cue prompt because now they're everywhere. So as soon as I start having that sensation, which I'm having right now, probably because I'm talking, I'm like, I really want to drink water. But as soon as I have that sensation, I can grab a water bottle and they're everywhere. I have my metalsmithing table has got them. This desk has like 2 or 3 all the time. I have some downstairs in the kitchen, one by one of the doors that I tend to go. I have one in my bedroom on my dresser. If I'm walking by, I can grab, like, they're everywhere. And I end up drinking these throughout the day. And then at the end of the day, sometimes I'm like, wow, I drink like 120 ounces of water today. So I have all of these bottles everywhere. And the reason I do it the night before is because when you put your water in a copper bottle, it actually purifies it and cleanses it and energizes it overnight. And so your water is actually totally different in the morning. And so that's why I do it at night, because then I know, like, oh, if I do it by the time I'm done with getting ready for bed, by the time I'm done with my yoga, my practices and rituals, and I'm ready to drink water, it's been 8 hours. And so I'm like chugging it then. And I like have this thought in my head of like, this is energy water. This is nourishing water. And now it is a complete habit of mine. Like I crave water. It is a massive part of my life, right? So how am I measuring success? A dog just laid on my keyboard. Sorry, one second. There we go. Okay, how am I measuring success? Based on how many empty bottles I have at the end of the day, right? And then my reward. So here's a funny thing. I've seen a lot of people, oh, for me, the water's not cold, but I mean, I guess if you want, you're right. You can have cold water. If you want, you can stick them in the fridge. If I put them in the fridge, I won't see them and I will never drink them. So I just leave them everywhere. When it's really hot, like in the hundreds, I'll usually like then put them in the fridge, and I'll have some laying around the house, but then I'll have some in the fridge too. So that when I get really hot, I can go grab cold ones, or I put ice in them, or, different things. And my ice also goes through this process. I'm that person, right? Anyway, so when we're looking at the reward, I want to talk about the reward again. Oops, sorry, baby. I want to talk about the reward again for just a second. When we're looking at the reward, I can put all kinds of things in here, right? Sorry, I'm reading comments. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I don't like cold water. Anyway, so I'm glad that you're the same. With the rewards, you can put different things in here, right? Like I could be lazy, and I could just say, well, because it's better for me, I'll have better health. That is not the reward we're talking about, right? For me, initially, I was not using the copper water bottles, right? I was using glass, and because I was trying to find something that was non-porous. So I was using glass bottles, which was a whole time, considering I just told you how many times I dropped these bottles, right? My reward was upgrading to copper bottles. And then the reward from there was getting more bottles and getting like real specific about my bottles. Like, and that's why now I have these special bottles I use, because I'm like, I earned it. Like I bought a whole case of them. And so when you're looking at a reward, your reward needs to be a real reward. I don't want to see like, oh, because it benefits my emotional health. Oh, because it's what I'm supposed to do. No, a real reward is maybe you started a new diet and you spent the whole week like on the diet and you had no challenges. Or maybe it's just at the end of the day, you made it through the day, right? What is that reward? I've even done this when I first started learning to fast. Hey, Brandy. Hi. When I first started fasting, I had this fear, right? Of like all like, oh my gosh, what's the deal with the fasting? Like, is it going to make me sick? Am I going to be starving? All these different things. Turns out like that was all just other people's thoughts and opinions and patterns that were being projected on me. Because as soon as I started fasting, it was super easy. But to create myself a reward for it at the end of the day, I would drink like this juice that I really, really loved. It was super high in sugar, but I loved it. And I was here for it. So at the end of the day, if I got through like all of the fasting, I would reward myself with this special juice, right? So that would be a way of having a reward, right? You could say like, it's the laundry that piles up, right? What is the reward if you are on top of your laundry at the end of the day, right? Maybe you could sit and have a cup of tea. Maybe you give yourself 10 minutes to scroll on social media to get that dopamine dump, right? But you need to find a reward that's right for you, that's actually going to motivate you to keep doing this. Because once you have that in place, then you don't have to worry, right? Meaning that you are just naturally going to take on that pattern. Let me populate this really quick. What is the reward? The reward was lots of perfect water bottles. Okay. And then this next slide here, this one is the one that you can fill out, right? And because you made a copy, I did put the steps in here too, so just so that you have them. But since you made a copy of this, you can change all of it and you can make as many of these as you want. And I would recommend doing it every new moon. And I want you to check in and I want to hear how you're doing. If you're in the JWJ Nation, share yours. I'll definitely share one of my, I do these all the time. It's ridiculous. I'm trying to think of the one I have right now. Oh, it was diet. And then I bagged it. I just made a new one last night. I had tried to start eating again, and I was like, man, this is so overrated. I was struggling with it. So on this last slide here, this is the one, again, type in, click wherever you want, make sure you get your numbers in, type the words here, all the things, get your copy. Now let's go all the way back up to here. When we create that dopamine dump, we get the neurohacking programmed into us. Okay. So, and then we will see it go into our muscle memory and our bio memory. Once it hits these spots, it stays as a pattern or as a habit. So you want to be able to be repetitive about it. Some people say it's like 30 days. Honestly, that's because of a different thing that we would talk about a different time. The reality is you need that dopamine, right? It's the reward. It's the measuring. Maybe it's you have a checklist and you can check it off saying like, yep, I did this Monday. I did it again on Tuesday. I did it this morning. I did it this afternoon, right? I see a lot of people do this with their meditation practice. It's hard for them to remember to do it twice a day. So when you do it twice a day, then you will end up in a spot, wrong screen. Then you will end up in a spot where you're very calm and you are reaping the benefits of it if you're 20 minutes of meditation twice a day. And so a lot of people struggle with that. They struggle with the initial teaching themselves how to meditate, but then you want to do it twice a day too. Holy bejesus, right? And so you can join like groups that are doing it. And so you can do it together live. We did that for we did it twice for a whole month. So that it would create this pattern. And then most people still dropped off, right? And so the reality is there's, because you didn't have a reward. You didn't have a dopamine dump during it as a reward. You didn't have a measure of success. So joining groups that are doing things is a great way to keep yourself accountable. Creating a list, creating some type of like a journal. Like some people, depending on what it is, especially with the meditation, this actually works the best. Just saying, from what a consistency and feedback is, if you decide that meditation is your thing, then they journal about their experience. And when they journal about their experience, they have this awareness of all the benefits they're getting from that one, right? It might be an enlightenment, like a level up, and you might have had like an experience in a different realm, or you might have had like this peace come over you, or truly you don't, like your brain was genuinely blank. You might have had like just this bliss overwhelm you where you're just laughing and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be meditating. Now here I am cracking up laughing, right? Like there's all these different experiences and emotions we have during meditation. And if you take the time to journal it, your awareness is heightened, and it is amazing when you see your journey. And it's just because we go, and we don't take time to measure things. We don't take time to give ourselves the dopamine dump, right? Of what the benefits of the things and the habits we are trying to implement in our lives. So put in the comments, I want to know, what are you going to implement this? And so just, can you pin the Canva? Oh, I think. Let me see. Tell me if that just did it. I did. I think I pinned it. Let me know if it worked. And then also let me know, put in the comments that you're going to do this, right? And then I want to, in the JWJ Nation, if you don't have it, download Journey with Jessica app, and we have a private chat in there. We spend more, at least I spend more time in there than I do on social media. And so you can put everything in there. It's private. It's just people like us. So you don't have to worry about it being out there in the whole world. It's in the app. But it's like JWJ Nation in there. Anyway, so in there, share your map, like attach it. And I'll share mine. And then we can all start holding each other accountable and sharing our successes and goals. I want to hear what you guys are doing. And then maybe we do this every new moon, right? And maybe we make a thing out of it. Let's see where it goes. And I would be happy. I'm also going to I'm pasting the Canva just in case it didn't bookmark or pin, I mean. There. So it's in there again. So you have the Canva, make a copy of it, fill it out. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. I love it too. I find this so helpful. It was helpful for me to understand the measuring and the rewards because I'm not that type of a person. I'm like, you do the things because you do the things, right? But the reality is that made a huge difference in some of the things I was doing. I wasn't willing to get up at 3 a.m, 4 a.m to get all the things done that I needed to get done. And then when I started implementing some of these rewards, oh, perfect. You got it. I'm glad. Great. Thank you. But once I started measuring and creating rewards, then it was like no problem getting up, right? Sorry, all that water talk. I really needed water. So let's just recap real quick. This particular moon is a Virgo moon, right? It's a new moon in Virgo. It's about organizing. It's that Virgo energy that I personally love so much. It's critical. It's all about tidiness, organization, being accurate, getting things done, not necessarily in like that fire energy. It's getting things done. Like maybe it's reading, right? Maybe it is organizing your closet. It could be a bunch of different things. But Virgo is about like getting that in your life. Now, because it's working with the Saturn, it again is all about like that responsibility and not being a victim, holding yourself accountable, because the reality is you are the only one that has control over you, right? So don't be a victim in your life. Be the leader of your life. Learn from your mistakes. Don't let that Virgo eat you up. I know some of you are Virgos, but this energy of the Virgo, mistakes are going to happen. You're having a human experience. Everything you try while you're reaching your goal is an experience. And you don't even get the chance to make a mistake or fail if you don't give yourself the chance to create the desired result and try. So adjust, make tweaks, make it simple. I was telling you before, decided I was going to start trying to eat again. No, that was just a terrible idea. It turns out I really didn't care about it. And so, yeah, I had to make an adjustment. What else could I do with my diet to make an adjustment that was more beneficial? And if you're finding that the things that you've been testing, like other people, for example, like I was saying, like the meditations, like if you find that other things are already created and there's already a pattern for it, or there's already a practice for it, or a way of doing it, try that. You don't need to recreate the wheel. This is supposed to be simple, tiny, so that you're getting these little tiny things done and these little tiny rewards. We're not going to change the world overnight, but we can just little pieces every day make these adjustments in our own lives. And you can follow whatever has worked before and apply them to your life properly. But just make sure that you're being in a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. Yeah, yes. Accountability is your pitfall. Adjusting. Okay, let's do this then. If you are in and you're going to do this with me, let's all dump our Neuro map in the JWJ Nation, just upload it in there. And then every day we are going to check in and we're going to say, I did it, right? Or I didn't, but here's how I'm going to do it next time. Or even what if you were like, turns out I'm not going to do this one. I'm changing it altogether, right? It's fine. We have 5 days to tweak with it. So let's do that. Get them on the app. Let's hold each other accountable. I want to see you guys achieve your goals. I want to see you use this moon experience. It is beautiful. And you will see, like, it's so much easier to do this type of stuff when you align it with the new moon. And then if you need any assistance or help with your neural mapping, reach out, right? Especially in the JWJ Nation. Just reach out in the app and I am happy to help you. I'll look over it and see if there's any suggestions if you're looking for that, or, help you unpack that and get you in a spot where you want to be. I hope you guys all enjoy the new moon. Thank you everyone for joining. It was really great to see all of you, and I will talk to you later. Bye.